Hello there. I'd like to share with you today a little bit of information about a stone that I came across today unexpectedly. This has very many different names to identify it, and perhaps you came across it yourself, but I'm going to tell you some of the very important properties of this stone, which is Crocodile Jasper. Here's what it looks like close up. I'm going to spin it around here for you. This is a tumbled version, and it's actually not that polished, not that great of a quality of a tumbled stone, but it is very interesting when you look at this, the patterns that are on it, the colors that are in it. Alright, while I was preparing to tell you about the Kambaba Jasper, the Crocodile Jasper, I found it so interesting and it just fascinated me. It so happened that Katie, my daughter Katie, and I were planning to go to a gem show, which was the holistic event at the Allentown Fairgrounds, and we decided to start looking for some Kambaba Jasper there. Well, it so happens that we found it there, and we found it with a very nice vendor who was so excited to have such beautiful pieces. I bought 3 pieces there, and before I start rattling off some facts about this, I want to show you these. They're just beautiful. Alright, these are 3 palm-sized stones, but they're rather thick. They're not flat. They're definitely carved and tumbled and polished, and very similar to the other one that I was showing you. It has the same kind of pattern of different circles and different colors of dark green and black, and sometimes you even see a little bit of like a pinkish or peach type color in there too. And that's another clue to what kind of stone this is. Alright, so here's another one, and this one really has the circles, and there are so many names for this stone that some of them have really good reasoning. One of the names, of course, was Crocodile Jasper, and that was named that because it looks like the eyes of a crocodile. Alright, and here's the third. Has even more circles on there. And this stone has quite a history. While I'm showing you up close, I'll just say that this could be up to 5 million years old, a stone like this. From what I read, this could have been formed several different ways. Originally, I read that this could be volcanic rock, and that it's why it's so glassy. And also, that's why it's related to the Rhyolite family of stones. But what we know from this is that this kind of fossil, which is what this looks like, and it's referred to as a fossil because scientists have been able to study what was going on 5 million years ago and 3 million years ago. And there was a point at which these fossil stones ceased to exist, and they couldn't be found for at least another million years. And then following that, a more evolved version, they call it a kind of sloppy version of the original, started up and was found in different areas where there's shallow bays, such as the Shark Bay in Australia, or also there were some areas in Tasmania where this started to develop. And in the newer version of this Kambaba type stone, they were developed over beds of limestone where blue-green algae topped them. And the reason that they were evolving in those areas is it was a salty water, and when they were shallow areas, it allowed the blue-green algae from that area to stay on the rock. Whereas in areas where blue-green algae existed, normally snails ate that and other sea creatures. But they couldn't do that and survive if the bay was drying up and going back and forth to wet and dry, and that's how these stones developed. So it's interesting to me to know that one of the sources that I read about this, or several of the sources that I read about this, said that this was from volcanic material and that the process developed with creating fossils and that it was up to 2 million to 5 million years old. And then yet I also read that these were developed from limestone beds and other blue-green algae and other organisms stayed on the top of these rocks and broke them down while they were drying. And this took place back and forth, wet and dry. In fact, sometimes it froze. And that's what they call these ice lines that go around, little swirls in there, supposed to be ice lines. Well, I'll tell you, if you're interested in geology and history of the world and the earth, please go on and read for yourself and do some research on this, because this is a very interesting stone. Nonetheless, this is a stone that definitely has earth origins, and that leads me to, how do we use this stone? This is a stone that's definitely tied to nature. So when you have feelings that you need to be grounded and you need to be following the laws of the earth, then you should look into having one of these stones in your hand. So I wanted to tell you what some of the other names are for these stones if you're going to do some research on this. The crocodile jasper, yes. Is it really a jasper? No. Green stomatotite is the one that refers to the 5 million year old stone that is full of fossils, that tells us clues about the history of the earth. That's another. And then they also say it's part of the Rhyolite family in another source that I read. And that explains the colored stripes in here, the peach color, pink color. Those are all colors of Rhyolite, and the one really shows a lot of that peach color in it. So the Rhyolite name of this is Rainforest Rhyolite because it resembles the colors of the rainforest and the leaves and greens and blacks and dark colors. However, it has nothing to do with being found in the rainforest. So some of these are just commercial names, but they could help lead you to your research if you're going to study up on this stone. Okay, how do people use these stones? Well, because it's tied so deeply to the earth, it's very strongly used to connect you with nature. So yes, they are healing stones, and yes, they are meditation stones, and they can be used with the chakras. But it is also known as a stone of nature because of how long it's been involved in collecting clues and information from the earth. Being a stone of nature, it helps to tune you with the earth. It helps you to be centered with the rhythms of the earth. For that grounding and centering, for a lot of people to hold it in their pocket or carry it or sit it on their desk or in a plant in their house, it helps to give them a reduced sense of anxiety. It helps to make them feel less stressed and more calmness. It brings some people comfort. It even makes them feel more friendship when their friends are around, and it helps to clear the atmosphere of negativity. So one of the things I mentioned was that at some point this stone actually disappeared from being able to follow it. We have areas, like I said, where the bays are, and the areas where water evaporates and comes back and evaporates and comes back and allows green algae to come around again. Well, some of these areas are Shark Bay, Australia, and Tasmania. However, a lot of people have found these in Madagascar during their mining. And I think that may come from some of the volcanic activity. So there's a whole lot of information about this kind of stone, but they're loaded with clues and messages about the earth. I have a link on I put a link in my description that has some that are available in different shapes and sizes. I will say that having these new stones here has definitely given me a new appreciation for the beauty of how these rocks may have been developed and what they have to tell us and how scientists have learned so much from them. So if you have a chance to get one of these Crocodile Jaspers, please do it. It feels really good in your hand. And if you look inside, you'll definitely have thought-provoking experiences about how the earth was developed and evolved. But if you run into this, try it out. Just put one in your hand and you'll love it. Thanks for watching.